Hello, hello.
Hello. And hello, all of you. Welcome to our wonderful chat again today. It's been a while since we've uploaded, so we hope you are doing well and having a wonderful winter or summer or wherever it is you are in the world. Thank you for joining us here at the Source for Success. I am Malissia, and this is
I'm Susie, and today, what are we talking about? We are talking about creating and being the creation to turn the unseen into the seen. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. That feeling of, we were talking earlier about what is it that you might have heard this out in the world or in your spiritual practice or just in like the law of attraction movement and motivational movement is, be the thing. And whatever the thing is,
Mm.
be the next level of the promotion you want. Be the mother you want to be the wife you want to be the husband you want to be the experience or expression in life that you want to be. And then everybody's so busy like trying to manifest that or meditate to that. And that's wonderful. It's like, yes, be it. But then I don't know if I think there's some people that do it really, really well and they get this. And then there's that little gap there when you're trying to be it. But then that trying creates the separation that you're not it and it's a future thing and you're trying to get to it, but also you're trying to be it, be it, be it. So I'm here to ask you, what is being it? What is the thing you want to be that you feel that you're not yet or that you're trying to get to? Maybe so you want to be a millionaire. What does being a millionaire feel like or seem like to you? That you're like, okay, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to feel like I'm a billionaire. I'm going to do it, do it, do it, do it, and it's going to feel good. And I'm going to be a millionaire, a billionaire. What is that? Or I'm going to be the thing that you want, fill in the blank. So we're here to talk about that beingness. And
Mm.
because I know Susie and I have a slightly different feeling on what does that look like and how does that manifest and how do we create that in our life when it's not showing up and you've been busy being it in your visualizations and your manifestation practice and your meditations and still not there, and yet you've been being it. So where's the gap? Where's the disconnect there? So Susie, what does that mean to you? What are you
Well, to
being and what does
me,
that mean to you?
yeah, like for the last couple of years, I've been studying law of attraction and thinking into results. It's been part of my journey in a big, big way. And I think that is where a lot of people go astray. They try to think their way to it. We're told to express the version of ourself that we want to be living. And we think by expression, it's about talking,
Mhm.
and it's not about talking. The talking comes later. Before we can actually speak as the self that we want to be, we've got to feel it. We've got to get into the vibrational resonance of it. And that can start with thinking. It can start with thinking, what do I really want? And okay, I would like, well, for instance, $100,000. I'd like $100,000. And we think, maybe I can create some affirmations. I have $100,000. I'm so happy and grateful for $100,000 that's in my bank account, and we do all this intellectual stuff and we don't get into the heart. And, you know, I believe a lot of people avoid really, really feeling. We think we feel stuff, but and probably less so since law of attraction and that come in, because if we feel something uncomfortable, because we're spiritual, we try to escape it. Oh, what if I'm creating something negative? I'm not going to feel this. I'm going to think something positive. And we're not really feeling our true self. We're not in alignment with ourself because we're avoiding what is right now. And we're not really feeling into the self that we want to be either, because we're all up in our head. Excuse me. Until we learn to really feel and accept our feelings, we can't feel anything. How you feel one thing is how you feel everything. So if you're not willing to feel, when you're in discomfort, when you're in physical pain or emotional pain, when you're feeling fear, when you're feeling tightness in the gut. If you can't feel that, then how do you expect to feel the other end of the spectrum, the joy, the freedom, the excitement? And, we perhaps want that $100 and we think, oh, how will I feel when I've got that? Because I've got to be that self now. And you get into the head and you think, oh, yeah, it'll feel like freedom. Ah, yeah, freedom feels good. But it's so surface level. If felt at all, yeah, it's still up here. Exactly. And we know, you and I know, that it's actually our frequency that does the asking, does the attracting. So until we learn to really feel that deeply and honestly, in integrity, and I love that word integrity, and integrity to me is the heart and the mind being on the same page, being in the same place, a state of being. And integrity might include action as well. But if it is action, it'll be action that you can't not take. Like, it'll be so joyful to take that action that you'll naturally do it. It's not something you're going to have to think about.
Yeah, it's not forced, and I like what you said there. It's if when we often get into that being state mentally, that's a great start. I mean, we have to get there somehow. And whether
Mm.
you're doing a Dr. Joe Dispenza meditation or listening to any of his talks, which are great, that they really help align me. They get me into coherency and heart brain coherency, and get your two sides of your brain working, as he'll talk about is, but there's no force. And he'll talk about that. There's other spiritualists and other motivational speakers and people who'll talk about it. And then there's all kinds of other people who are talking about it from a place that they themselves haven't experienced it, and you can feel that. And again, it's frequency aligned. They're telling you about the concept, and they've listened to a lot of Joe Dispenza, they listen to a lot of Eckhart Tolle, they listen to a lot of Deepak Chopra and the Dalai Lama, and it's wonderful. They listen to Esther Hicks, with the Abraham Hicks teachings, and they're like, I got it, I get it
Yeah.
mentally, and I can share it with you conceptually, and I can even share other people's stories and maybe some of my own. So maybe I've seen some little results, but if you haven't got into the feeling and even the yucky feelings, and that's really hard sometimes with spirituality, because as you mentioned, there's a lot of spiritual bypass of, oh, that's a bad feeling, I'm not allowed to have that, I better think something good. And you're not wrong. I mean, like, nobody wants to manifest something bad. And yet, what's in that feeling, what's there? I'm not saying dwell there. I'm not saying you got to live in the negativity, but you do have to do your shadow work. So if there's a negative feeling coming up, if you're not going to deal with it in the known and in the conscious, you will deal with it in the unconscious. You will dream about it. Maybe you'll have some negative dreams or bad things will start coming up, because there is stuff that does have to come up and come out for you to deal with. And you do have to do your shadow work of, oh, I'm not loving myself. I'm not really feeling into this feeling of wealth and manifesting and creating and being who I want to be and having what I want to have, because I don't really love myself, or I don't really value myself. And that
Mm.
shows up in the outside world, that people don't seem to value me. They don't really take the time to listen to me, or they interrupt me, or they busy themselves with something else. Nobody's really paying attention when I have something to say. Or, oh, I can get a bunch of people on board to buy my coachings and my workshops and my master classes, and these people will listen to me. But when nobody's around, I feel bad and I feel horrible, and I'm not really the person I'm projecting out to. So I'm selling a facade or a version. I'm getting people to buy that image, but I'm not actually being it. So it's not really working. Law of attraction not really working for me, but I'm selling it because I got the concept.
Mm.
Or, like I said, I'm not really paying attention to those unworthiness things that are showing up. But when you go into that shadow work and you go into that darkness, and you go, okay, what am I telling myself? What is it that I need to know, that I need to shift, and what I need to heal, and what I need to love about myself? I need to love that, oh, it's been hard. I need to love that, hey, things have not always been as I want them to be, and I've not always acted the way I wanted to act towards myself and others. Or I've not actually treated money the way I want it to. So money isn't treating me back so good right now,
I
because it's
think,
all energy and it's all me. So
yeah.
since it's all me and I haven't treated me well, and I haven't treated this money well, or some others in some way, let me focus on that enough to see it, then I can release it. It's not to dwell there, but it's now that I can see it and release it, now I can get into the energy of, okay, what is it I do want to feel? What
Mm.
does freedom mean to me? It's great if I can get the word freedom, but what does it feel like? Oh, joy and abundance. Great. That's great. You got the words and you can affirm them all day. You can stick them around your house. But what does it feel like to you to already
Exactly.
be there? Because I assure you, a millionaire isn't got stickers all around their house about how to be a millionaire. If they're living it, they're living it. So
Yeah.
how do you live it? And
Once,
I'm not saying those aren't great steps. So go ahead and have your stickers and your post-it notes and write on your mirror, because that's all good if it makes you feel good. And being it is beyond all of that. It's beyond all the external and material stuff that's going to show up as an effect to the cause that you are. Like Susie and I were talking about earlier, when you are living the light and love, when you are just basking in love. So if you don't know what freedom really feels like at this moment, you don't know what abundance feels like because you haven't had any. It's okay, go to love. And you can say, well, I don't really know what love is. Okay, so get really present and still and quiet. And love is where you go. First, and some people are really scared to go there because really negative thoughts come up when you get still and silent. Sometimes it's not love. You're like, oh, these things, I hate myself and all the bad things I ever did and all the mistakes I made. Okay, but keep going. Accept those, love those, surrender those, release those, forgive those. And maybe that's the work you got to do first. So that's okay, because
yeah,
underneath it is love. Underneath it is love. And when you get to that love and you start basking, and now you know what freedom feels like because it feels like love. And you know what abundance feels like because it feels like love. And now you're basking in the light. And I assure you that frequency is you being. And it doesn't come with a name of millionaire and all these things that we attach when we're affirming. It just is. And you can just be in love and just be in the vibration. And I assure you, those things will attract back to you. Like again, in that quantum field of you, instead of it being linear and you trying to get to it, it folds to you because it is you.
yeah. I really think the first step in love is acceptance, and that is acceptance of everything we feel, acknowledging and saying, you know what, I am feeling this way right now, and noticing where it is in the body and just sitting with the feeling, like not the story. The story is great. It's alerting me to what's going on in here, which is causing the feeling. But if I ignore the feeling, that feeling is in the body and it's going to stay there, and it's going to be like a big festery button. And as soon as something happens in the outside world, it's like somebody keeps pushing this festery button and I keep feeling the same way. Yet, if when this feeling comes up, I can say, you know what? I love and honor me enough to accept that I'm feeling like this and actually feel the sensations. And, I like to cross my wrists and cross my ankles and just rest my hands against my heart. And what this does, this puts us in a whole brain state. When we're in fear or something negative, our left and right hemispheres of the brain stop talking. That's why people on stage often have trouble remembering what they wanted to say. But the body communicates through the whole nervous system. And by dropping the hands back onto the heart space, that releases oxytocin. So it's telling the body it's safe. And from this place, you can actually feel those sensations that are in the body. And, if it's tension around the solar plexus, maybe it's fear or maybe it's anger, sit with those sensations. We don't have to continue the story. Turn the mind, instead of turning it to the story, turn it to the sensations and what those actually are in the body, and feel it. And that has been the biggest gift for me. Just every time a feeling would come up, an emotion or even physical pain, turning myself towards it and just saying, you know what? I love myself to receive this message, because every feeling is a message from the body. And what coming into feeling does is bring us into presence. And the love that we receive through presence, both from the sensation of our hands against our heart, but also because we're now in alignment with our true self, brings balance to all of those feelings. And, I've alleviated even a headache or physical pain with this short, easy little process,
Technique.
I suppose, if you call it a process. But I'll find that feelings will generally transmute within seconds or minutes. And through doing this, I've not only been able to accept safely all of these negative feelings that might be coming up, I've been able to feel all of the positive ones too. So when you're feeling awesome, great, what am I feeling right now? And you can come into this space and you can bask in that sensation and feeling. And, as Malissia said, when we're open to feeling, that true freedom, that true abundance, all of those qualities that come with what we desire to create, then we're in the frequency, the alignment of what we're desiring, and the gap is closing. As we are desiring something, not only are we moving towards it, it's moving towards us. It's being created from the potential, the infinite potential that is right before us, waiting at our command to become whatever it is we desire. But we've got to be it first.
And what that being is, which is to come back around to the top of what we were talking about, is that being is, you got to discover it. You got to ask yourself questions. And if somebody was to say, oh my gosh, you guys, you don't even know, like, I have real problems. And if I was to face those real problems, they're terrible. They're terrifying. I have night tremors. I have real problems, real dark stuff. I hear you. I have had a past of that. I have had a very dark past of some really traumatic experiences and real sense of evil at times, like darkness, where it's just been like impossible to feel like you can come into the light. So I get you. So I'm not going to try to pretend that, oh, it's just so easy to do. No, it's sometimes really, really hard to do. And it's still worth it to embrace who you are, because ultimately you are love. You are light. You are the God that you are in manifest. And you are here to experience the very best and lightest, most highest expression of yourself. And if something is keeping you down, your own mind, your own thoughts, something external, something that is dragging you down that you're having a hard time from, and you got to shift your frequency to get up out of it, because you've resisted it all you can, and that resistance has worked. It's brought it closer together. Maybe you rebuked it all you can, and it's just brought it closer together. So now you have to shift into a higher frequency so that it's just not on your plane, and you just fly out of it, basically. And we'll have other talks on that so that we can go deeper into that. Because if it feels like, I love what you guys are saying, but that can't be for me, or that's not my reality, it's too dark, it's like, I hear you. And yes, it is. And yes, you do embrace the shadow self in the dark. It's beyond that. And yes, sometimes we need a therapist. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need somebody else, or we need, even the medication that helps us through that time. That's fine. We're not saying to avoid all that, just, by the spiritual practice and the holistic, because I'm all about the holistic, and you get there. So if you're not there, and that you're not going to take that leap and end up flying, it's like a rubber band. You're not going to take that leap and then have to swing all the way back. So you take steps. And even if that step is, oh, I accept what you guys are saying, if it isn't even for me right now, I can't imagine that for me right now, but I hear what you're saying and I want it to be true. So I'm going to sometimes look at that dark or something that comes up. I'm going to honor it enough for 1 minute, and then I'm going to release it and go back to my comfortable feeling. But I'm going to take little steps into, what is that telling me? And maybe you have to do it with a therapist. Maybe you have to do it with a friend. I understand that. Do it safely. And the whole point is you are light, and you can get there. And we are living proof of, like we were vibing earlier, just like on talking about the love and light and just the blissness of it. And a few years ago, people that knew me maybe wouldn't have known that I could get there too. So yes, it is you. Yes, you can get there. Stick with it. Get into the beingness, surpass the idea of being, and what that means for any kind of business or any kind of group you're in, or any kind of masterclass or anything that's telling you to be, and you're trying to be anything you paid for. Maybe your coaching is trying to get you to be. I'm here to share with you, and Susie and I are here to share with you, is yes, and that beingness is, we're here to ask you the question, what is that for you? How does it feel? Can you enjoy it? when you're enjoying it, can it not attach to anything else? Like, oh, I'll feel that way when when I have, when I get to, when I become. Can you get there now and then live in it and just enjoy that it is now, and so that it can now be. And now it can come to you. So those are
Yeah.
my final thoughts on it. How about you, Susie?
Yeah, I agree totally. And to get to beingness, you've really got to get out of your head, out of the story, and into the present moment. And you can get there through feeling. And, pick a word that really resonates with you. For me, that word is desire. I love the word desire, not desire attached to anything, just the word desire itself. And I can sit with this word for quite a long time and just, I say things to myself like, what does desire feel like? The word, just what does the word desire feel like? What does desire feel like to me? And just by turning my mind towards something so safe, so non-topical, like it's not attached to anything. I'm not trying to create anything. I'm just playing with the feeling, and it keeps the mind busy, and it gets me into feeling, which is presence, and brings me right into the moment of transmutation where I align with my wholeness. And it really is so beautiful. And your word might not be desire. It might be beauty. It might be nature. It might be any number of things, but something that feels good to you, that isn't a trigger, that can just bring you into the present moment.
And just like Abraham Hicks says, just feel good. You're going for the good feeling. You're going for the good feeling. So if you do embrace the dark, like we're saying, you can't spiritually bypass it. It's there for a reason. You have to work on your shadow self, because you try to bypass it, it's going to come up. And feel good. Get to the good feeling as fast as you can, because we're not asking you to dwell somewhere that takes you out of it. The whole point is to get into joy, and whatever that is for you. And we appreciate you watching our video, and we hope that this did something for you. It's always fun to share our chats, because we love talking about them and then hitting record so that we can share. And I just want to say cheers, Susie, as I drink the world's best water. Nom, 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 nom.
Absolutely.
And
High
cheers to all of
vibe,
you out there.
liquid life.
Mm. Yes, liquid life. Oh, nom, nom, living water. So cheers to all of you out there as well. And put any comments or questions in the comment section. You don't have to agree with us. We're not looking to have agreement or, convert your way of thinking. It's just a conversation, because I've been, learning about spirituality outside of my family for the last 30 years, studying, going abroad to Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village when I was 19, and just going out to the world to discover other religions and cultures and beliefs. But I was raised in very deep ones as well, and beautiful, rich Baptist Christianity and powwow and divine feminine. And all of these things come up, and I'm still learning and still growing to such a degree. So I know we all are. And this is a conversation we're inviting you to, because we have so much fun talking about the blissfulness of it, while at the same time we're still dealing with some of the darkness of it. You might be too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We're both human. And, my journey brought me to spirituality during, the hardest times of my life. And it was those difficult times that really instigated some of the best times of my life. And, I've been on the journey to discovering myself now for 15 or more years, and really just a bit like Malissia, delving into all things spiritual, all things metaphysical, all things quantum science, all things energy. And it's all coming together. It's all agreeing with each other. Yes. And, we listen to teachers who are sharing information from 100 years ago and science that is up to date, and they're saying the same thing. So if anything we share resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, so what? And if you love what we share, continue watching And please give us, you know, ask your questions, because we're happy to interact, and maybe your questions will be the topic of conversations to come. So thank
Yes.
you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yes, like and subscribe and share as you feel and keep coming back. We love having these conversations. We love having them with you, and we're going to be doing more. We're going to do other topics and meditations. And we just love loving life and the isness of life. So if you resonate with that, which, if your energy's aligned with us, and here you are, then we would love to hear from you and just play with you on this journey called life. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah, thank you very much.